We keep things rolling here on the Sports Cubicle. I'm your host, Mike Mercado, and the good times keep on rolling, especially if you are a loyal listener of us here on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. He is the godfather of the Sports Cubicle, Sports from the Couch. We would not be here today if it wasn't for this man. If you are a media connoisseur here in Chicago, whether it be on the news side or the sports side, he has been a part of your family for a long time. He is a Chicago media legend. He is our godfather, our sensei from the Rewind Sports 60. He is Jerry Riles. Jerry, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic, Mercado. Thank you so very much for the incredible introduction. I don't think I'm deserving of it, but I certainly will receive it, accept it, and run with it, my good friend. How you doing?
I'm good. It always brightens my day when I get to see that beautiful smile and the energy brought up when you come into the studio, Sensei. And we are doing this virtually, but as the months go on, maybe a little bit of teaser we'll talk about later, there's going to be a lot of Jerry Riles and a lot of mixture here on the Sports Cubicle on the things we have going on with the Rewind Sports 60. And it is just always a pleasure to talk to you. And especially right now, the excitement that is going on in the lakefront. What is happening with this Chicago Bears team coming off of Hard Knocks, coming off of drafting Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze, getting Keenan Allen, and it all coming together for this game against Tennessee coming up. What were your thoughts, your emotions when this process started post-trade last year of Carolina, Chicago, where we get to the point where our favorite, one of your favorites from Ohio State, Justin Fields, all of this ends to get to Caleb Williams. When that draft night happened, what were your emotions, your thoughts, knowing all the context that led to that moment, and now post-draft preseason on Caleb Williams being the Chicago Bears quarterback?
Well, let me go back in time as you so eloquently placed us. Yes, even prior to draft night, I'm an Ohio State Buckeye, and Justin Fields was my man. And once the Bears finally acquired him, I over the years that he was here, I tweeted out, the Bears finally have a quarterback. We finally have a quarterback because this man was, to me, was an incredible talent. He's a strong, smart, educated, just well-rounded individual on the football field and off the football field. And I thought that we were on our way. As you know, and all of those who are listening and watching and following, Justin Fields didn't have the weapons that he needed to take the team from point A to point B. And the coaching staff, Matt Nagy was not the guy to lead this young man on the next level as a National Football League. So I was totally behind it. And it came to one point, Mercado, it came at one point in time with all this Caleb Williams talk back and forth that I said to myself, if the Bears deal Justin Fields, I will no longer be a Bear fan. I will no longer support the organization because they put this kid in a very, very difficult spot in a position to more or less fail and then kick him to the curb. And I know that he's a much better talent than that. Also, I'm watching Caleb Williams play at USC, and we remember, was it the Washington game where he jumped into the stands and cried in his mother's arms because he lost a football game a year after winning a Heisman Trophy? And I turned to my friends. I said, the Bears can't have a quarterback who's sensitive like this, who's expressing his emotions on the football field or at the end of the game, jumping into the stands, into his mom's arms, crying like a baby because he let his team down and they didn't win. I said, I'm not against crying. I'm not against crying, but you leave that in the locker room because, as you know, Chicago, it's a tough, blue collar, lunch pail, hard hat, hardworking city. And we don't want to see softness like that. So I wasn't really sold on Caleb Williams, but I'm following the national pundits and people who are close to his game on a collegiate level. And I'm watching film and I'm listening to interviews. And, you know, slowly but surely, I'm starting to gravitate toward this guy. And of course, when the Bears finally made the announcement on draft night that Caleb Williams was the #1 overall pick for your Chicago Bears, I was like, okay, I'll give this guy a chance. Now, the great Kyle Long, you remember Kyle Long? He said, prior to the draft, he said if he were drafting in the Bears position, he would have kept both Justin Fields and Caleb Williams. Now, that's how they used to do it in the old days, Mercado, and I'm sure in my age, but that's how they used to do it in the old days. The rookie quarterback will come in, he'll put on the baseball cap, hold the clipboard, and he'll stand behind the starting quarterback, whoever it may be, Bradshaw, Greasy, Tarkington, or whatever the case may be, and hold the clipboard and study and study and study. Within 2 to 3 years, become the heir apparent and take over the football team. Nowadays, because of the money, you know that these guys have to hit the ground running. But Kyle Long said that he would keep the both of them and have them compete for the starting position. That didn't happen with the Chicago Bears. I understand Ryan Poles said, hey, listen, I have to put my stamp of approval on this football team and move forward. I'm getting the pieces that I need. And everyone told him, this is a generational quarterback. You cannot pass on him. And you know the history of Chicago Bear quarterbacks. We go all the way to Sid Luckman. Are you kidding me? So Ryan Poles had to make a very difficult decision, but that's what happened when you're in management position. You have to make the tough decisions. It seems as if he made the right decision in dealing. Obviously, he didn't get much for anything for Justin Fields going to Pittsburgh, but at least he put him in a place where he can thrive and survive. And he rolled the dice, gambled, and he brought in who he feels is the next guy that can take this team to the next level. That being the playoffs, of course, and eventually to the Super Bowl, and Caleb Williams. And he put the pieces around him. We had Cole Kmet at our tight end position, but he brings in a great running back with Quick from Philadelphia to shore up the running game. Then, of course, we talked about the receivers, as you mentioned, to open up the segment. And the offensive line, always an Achilles heel for the Chicago Bears, but he's trying to establish that. And one thing he said in this final week of preparation for the opening game on September 8th at Soldier Field is that this team is full of depth. It's full of depth. You got some hard-hitting guys. You got some guys who are hungry. You got some guys who want to play, but we have depth at pretty much all of the positions, which is something that Justin Fields didn't have. But I love what he has been able to do thus far. And again, we talk about the preseason, you know, a lot of guys trying to earn positions on either the 53-man roster with the current team, the Bears, or they're looking to get on the, as my old friend George Bliss said, the taxi squad, or they're trying to get a position with some other team in the league. So I get it. People are playing for positions, but now the starters, they're going to get an opportunity week one to show what all this hard work during the off season has done for them in the next level of getting to play the game every Sunday that we are really, really looking forward to seeing.
So it's interesting. I want to circle back to Justin Fields first, because you and I talked about it on your own show. We talked about it on this show, how he did things in spite of what was put in front of him. He was put in that position. Never forget what Matt Nagy did to that poor kid in that game in Cleveland with that bad boogeyman named Myles Garrett. 6 sacks to a rookie quarterback. And you built an entire offense based off of other backup quarterbacks like Andy Dalton. That's what Justin Fields had to go against. He went into a season where he was put out there with no roster because they were trying to tank. And I think Ryan Poles, good decisions, bad decisions. The one thing that I think you hear and I hear, and anybody who has some type of connection to the organization from friends on the inside or reporters that we may know, Ryan Poles is somebody who is a man of his word. If he truly believes that he wants to put people in a position to succeed, he put Justin Fields in a position where what team can help you? Where will you feel comfortable going? And there is no better place for any individual, man, woman, or child, to learn under, to have the leadership of Mike Tomlin. So I think that's an example of Ryan Poles doing that for Justin Fields, who got the short end of a stick. And then to be rewarded with a quarterback like Caleb Williams, with the potential, with the idea that you might be able to hit another level. It really was a rare occasion with both sides were able to win. And I'm telling you now, it may be Russ is the starter now. The next time we circle around in a few months, Justin Fields will be the starter of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think that's almost in itself written in stone, just like Caleb Williams. But let's talk about that for a second with Jerry Riles, the Godfather himself, here on the Sports Cubicle. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. Make sure you're checking out everything over at the Rewind Sports 60. Some awesome news over the next few weeks about that with Jerry. But I obviously have always thought this. that Caleb Williams, more likely than not, will just be an okay quarterback because numbers say in the NFL, it's not going to work out. You're going to get injured. It's so rare to find the unicorn. But I believe there are enough there's enough ping pong balls that say he's going to be a better than average quarterback. So averages say you might get lucky. I think the Bears had no choice but to pick Caleb Williams. But with that in mind, it wasn't just the luck of landing Caleb Williams. This team as an organization set themselves up to be in this position. They made the right trades. They won the games they were supposed to. They lost the games they were supposed to. They evaluated talent. They signed certain contracts. Are you surprised the organization ran by the McCaskies allowed Ryan Poles to do this and kind of had full autonomy of what he wanted to do with this roster, especially knowing the hiring of Kevin Warren? They really let the man do his own thing. How much does that surprise you, seeing the years of Jerry Angelo and everything before that? How much of a surprise was that for you watching this Bears team allow the architect the team?
You know what? It is surprising to see the Bears just release, especially coming from way top Virginia McCaskey, but to release practically almost complete authority over the organization and let this team, Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles, come in and say, this is what we're going to do to transform this organization from top to bottom. And I believe the McCaskies brass, all the way up to Virginia, had to finally sit back and say, you know what? Times have passed us by. We've been the doormat, so to speak, of the of the division, and in some ways, the laughing stock of the whole league. We need to advance. We need to keep up. We need to let go of the old and bring in and embrace the new. And these two gentlemen, they hit the ground running. They have experience. They have the knowledge, the education, and now they're united together to bring it together. And it's a breath of fresh air because they are making the right decisions. I didn't necessarily think the Bears leaving Soldier Field and going to Arlington Heights with all that land out there and building a stadium to have their fun land out there in the suburbs when they are Chicago's team. And Mr. Warren came in and said, hey, no. He talked with the city. He talked with Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago. The museum campus was already in place with Lori Lightfoot before she was ousted. Johnson said, we're going to keep it in place. We're going to move forward. The Bears love the proposal, love the idea, and they negotiated and said, we're going to stick with the plan. And the thing about it is, Kevin Warren lives in the South Loop, I believe, or near the South Side. So he's like, I'm not going to trek all the way from the South Loop or the South Side to go all the way to Arlington Heights. And you and I both, and the listeners and viewers know as well, the traffic in Chicago, especially with the Kennedy construction, is horrendous. So that factored in with this museum campus, and the Bears are definitely moving forward to bring in a state-of-the-art facility along the lakefront to make it attractive, not only for the fans who are coming to the games, but also for the people in the community. And it's also going to open up opportunities for the Bears to bring more concerts, Beyonce, Taylor Swift. Not only to mention, we can have an opportunity to bring in the Final Four, Super Bowl, hopefully, if we're in it, but the NCAA tournament. We can do all of these good things with this new advancement as far as the stadium is concerned. But I was a little surprised, but I'm not surprised because I think the Bears know, listen, everyone is passing us by. Look at the amount of money that Jerry Jones has generated down with the Dallas Cowboys. I think you heard the figures. They're worth something like $9 billion. The Bears, I think, are somewhere in the ballpark or $5, maybe $6 billion. They're saying we're being left behind. We have to step up and we have to move up. So kudos to the Chicago Bears brass as far as allowing these gentlemen to come in and do what they have to do. And I do want to say to you, you said that Ryan Poles didn't really have any options. He had to draft Caleb Williams. Well, I mean, that was the no-brainer, so to speak. But a real gambler would have dealt that number one pick surrounded and still got the other pieces to the puzzle around Justin Fields and would have gotten some core offensive linemen. The defense is pretty much set, in my opinion, but he could have gotten some real stud offensive linemen. And boy, oh boy, because the game is won in the trenches, right? That would not have been a question mark. That was an option out there on the table. But I love what he was able to do and how he's able to appear to be a mastermind and move this thing forward to the next level.
And it goes into a little bit of the ripple effect, because if you keep Justin and you trade down, you get all this equity and you're able to build around him. The counter, not necessarily the counter, but then the reality of a rookie quarterback, even if it had been Jaden Daniels, right, who I think might be a star as well. I think Jaden Daniels might be the truth in Washington. But the idea is, if you draft this rookie quarterback, like you mentioned, the rookie contract, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, Gerald Everett, and being able to give Montez Sweat the big deal, being able to give Jalen the big old deal, all that is because it's an economic game on top of it being a physical game. And Justin getting the raw end of the deal, not being able to utilize that contract of a rookie deal and being able to use his talents, is one of the big malpractices that regime has. This regime was not going to allow that to happen. This regime, no matter who, had it been Drake May, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, Caleb Williams, they were going to play them. And you can see it by who they have in their quarterback room. They didn't bring in a veteran. They didn't bring in an old school head. They left Tyson Bagent. And they're like, no, we're going to let the kids run the offense. They're going to learn together, and we're going to have our little group, because it's all about having the rookie contract scale and the way it is, to be able to have the Montez Sweats of the world, that defense that is going to be good, be able to take advantage of whatever you can within the margins. Because, Jerry, what's crazy about this is the Bears finally utilize what they're supposed to around the league, and the NFC North is stacked. Green Bay is not going anywhere. Jordan Love might have figured it out last season. Detroit is one good drive away from going to the Super Bowl. And if it wasn't for a torn knee for J.J. McCarthy, they have the best wide receiver in the league in Justin Jefferson. What do you think about the NFC North and the projection for the Chicago Bears heading into the season? A lot of people are saying 9 wins. A lot of people are saying 10 wins. A lot of people are saying 11 wins. People are talking about wild card. They're talking about playoffs. I just want to see progression. What do you think about the Bears heading into a stacked NFC 2024 season?
Well, I think the difference for the Bears compared to those other teams, you talk about Green Bay, you mentioned the Detroit Lions. I think there are two factors involved with that. First of all, defensively, I think last season the defense and the Bears were able to put together their last 7 games. I think they put together 5 victories, and the defense was really, the catalyst behind that. They were the ones who were, implementing that. They were pushing that. They were getting hungry. They were salivating. And I love what we saw at the end of the regular season last year of that defensive unit. They wanted more, but there was no more to go because the season had ended for them. So I think we're going to see, a continuation of that starting this year. So I think I do give the Bears the edge as far as the division is concerned. I give the defense the edge because you mentioned the pieces of the puzzle that they brought in there. I'm glad. I loved Eddie Jackson, but it was time for him to go. Jalen is ready to take over that offense. That defense. So the defensive unit, I think, is very, very intent to continue where they left off last year. But I also think the important thing is it's not necessarily on the football field, Mercado, but I think it's the training room. I think it's the training staff. And I think it's the weight room. I think there were probably 27 different starting quarterbacks last year due to injury. If you could win in the training room and the weight room and the conditioning and nutrition, and then transition that out to what you've learned in practice on the football field and stay healthy, I believe that's going to make a difference between making the playoffs, advancing in the playoffs, or going home after the 18th week of the regular season. That's really, really key. And a lot of people don't really factor that in or understand that, but that's really where it all begins. And whoever's slacking or cheating, back in May, June, July, in preparation to get things started in early August and September, they're behind the 8 ball already. If these players come in prepared from a nutritional standpoint, from a conditioning standpoint, and from a training room standpoint, once they're out on the football field, it's lights out. And many of the players have said our practices are much tougher than game planning. Our practices are much, and we're talking about the guys who've been on the team before, not these young kids coming in because they still don't know. But they're saying that these practices that they're undergoing is much difficult than game situations. Because Eberflus wants these guys to get out there, not think about what the plays are, execute the plays, but have fun while they're doing it. And I think that's a key. So I think the Bears, I'm getting long-winded a little bit, but I think the Bears, I think each team in the division, I believe we can at least split. Whether we go there or they win, whatever the case may be, I think we can hold home field advantage in the division. It might be tough playing in Detroit, depending on what goes on with them. It might be difficult with Jordan Love. But I truly believe that it'll be a dogfight in this division for sure.
Jerry, this is my favorite time of the year when I get to just sit down and talk to you for 20 minutes about football. Baby. Week 1 is here in college football. Week 1 of the NFL is just around the corner. We are just 1 half week away, guys. Thursday will be here before we know it. Oh my God, we are like 5 days away. This is going to be amazing, guys, when we finally get to watch real football. Jerry, before I let you go, we're having our friends. I'll give you the final thought too, but before we let you go, after you finish your final thought, we also want to get from all our friends their winners, their matchups of the NFC Championship game, their matchup of the AFC Championship game, and who they have winning in the Super Bowl this coming year. So any final thoughts and your predictions to the end of the NFL season? Now, we all know you're going to get 100% correct.
No. I usually don't try to do the predictions, my man, because as I mentioned, injuries play a key factor in an 18-week NFL regular season. So, but I will say, you can never count out the Kansas City Chiefs. You simply can't count out Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. I say keep an eye on Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. I mean, talk about salivating. This guy is ready to get at it. CJ Stroud is ready to take the next. That dude is ready to take the next turn. And we know what happened with the Detroit Lions last year. That was an ugly, ugly ending to a fabulous season that they had. So I don't like to put the predictions out there, but I will go out on a limb and say the Kansas City Chiefs will once again appear in the Super Bowl.
Oh my God. I can't believe that clip you just went off making that thing. Jerry, you're the best. All right, before we let you go, we also got to talk about this. So over the next coming up weeks, everybody knows Jerry Riles, the godfather of the Sports Cubicle, Sports from the Couch over at the Rewind Sports 60. He has some awesome stuff coming up. I'm going to give him a chance to kind of say what he wants to, but everybody who listens to us here knows how much we love the Rewind Sports 60, how much it means to the show. And we know Bear season wouldn't sound the same without Jerry. So Jerry, what can you tell the listeners here who have been listening to you when you pass the torch over to us? What can you tell them about what's coming up and what you have kind of in the works or up your sleeves a little bit?
Hey, real quick, I thank you. But before I get into that, I want to tell people we're all anxious for the regular NFL season to get underway. We're anxious for the college football season to get underway. But check this out. Keep this in the back of your mental file cabinet there. From around mid-December through January, get this. With the extension of college football playoff system and the NFL ending of the regular season and their playoff system, we're literally, ladies and gentlemen, are you sitting down for this? We're literally going to have almost every day of some sort of competitive football from like Christmas all the way through January, from the playoffs all the way through the championship. It's going to be must-see TV for a month and a half. So get ready. It's going to be a lot of fun. I got to tell you, I am so excited, Mercado. So excited. Now, I'm also excited to let everyone know that the Rewind Sports 60, we're back up and rolling for this upcoming NFL 2024 season, ladies and gentlemen. We've just signed an agreement to broadcast our show, our Bears Report post-game show, Mondays, 4:30 to 5:30 on WIN TV, WIN-TV. It's a Korean television station, but they've allowed the Rewind Sports 60, or agreed to have the Rewind Sports 60 come in and do a 1-hour live broadcast from their studios beginning on Monday, September 9th, 4:30 to 5:30. You can also catch it on our stream. It's Roku. It's the Android TV, Fire TV, and of course the RewindSports60.com. So we're excited. Mercado is going to be a part of this great transition that we're involved in, and I'm looking forward to having you on every week, buddy, so we can recap the Bear games from Sunday and look forward to the upcoming Sunday, the Rewind Sports 60 on WIN TV. It's a win-win situation, buddy.
It's going to be amazing. This is made me super excited when I found out this news. And like I told you off the mic, I'll tell it here on everybody listen to us, because we have a big old antenna that goes to all of Chicago. You being in the space of Bears talk and the talent you bring in, the people that you help mentor, it's important. Your brand is important. It's helped so many people, and it's a great resource for Bears fans, for NFL fans. So to have you back, to have the brand back, to have what you do best, which is entertain people, back for consumers, is awesome. It's just as giddy-inducing as Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze playing for the Chicago Bears. So the exciting times are coming. He is the Godfather. You can check out all his work over at the Rewind Sports 60, including the Bears postgame, the recap. Everything is happening over at, what was it again?
WIN TV, WIN-TV, WIN TV.
It will be
Lock
Mondays,
it in.
4:30 to 5:30 Mondays with Jerry Riles amongst other guests, and your boy will be unfortunately you can't get rid of me too that fast, Jerry, right? I'm not that easy to get rid of. He's Jerry Riles. We love him. Thank you so much, Jerry. We love you for joining us here on the Sports Cubicle, WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. Chicago, we love Jerry Riles.